Okay, this afternoon we're gonna be making Trinidadian pastels. Now I know the original recipe for the Trinidadian pastels calls for olives and raisins, but I'm not particularly fond of raisins or olives. So I'm gonna be doing my version of this. So everything here is what we're gonna need from my version of the Trinidadian pastels. We have thyme over here. We have cilantro, or the Trinidadian will call it bandana, pimento, scallions, onions, garlic, 3 different types of peppers: Scotch bonnet, chili pepper, or as the Trinidadians would call it, bird pepper, and cherry pepper. Also, we have over here is the tropical sazon, and we have Lari. We have ground beef and ground pork. Now, again, this is the seasoning of the meat before we actually form the pastel and cook it off. Okay, so now we're gonna do the seasoning of the meats. We already have the thyme in the pan. Now we're gonna put the beef in there. So now we're gonna start with the Lari. You're gonna sprinkle a little bit on top there. I like to have my meat basically very seasoned, so don't judge me by my seasoning. And I'm sorry, I forgot to say this at the beginning, but everything that we're doing here to the beef, we're gonna do the exact same thing to the pork. Okay, so that was the tropical sazon. That was the Lari. Now we're gonna add the garlic. And we're gonna add some cilantro, aka bandana, pimento, scallions, and onions. Okay, so now we're just gonna take it, mix it. I know I didn't put the pepper in there, but I'm gonna save that for last, and I'm gonna show you why I'm gonna save that for last. Okay, this is how the meat is gonna look after you're done seasoning it. This is the beef, this is the pork. If you want, and it's only if you want, you can put the onions, the cilantro, and the pepper and the garlic into a blender and blend it up and use the paste to season the meat and let it sit overnight if you want. That's your choice. This is an immersion blender. I did not use this today. If you don't have one of this, I suggest that you go pick it up. It's a life-changing and a very time-saving piece of equipment. It's really good. I suggest you really do get one of those. Okay, while we were seasoning the meats, I had my pan preheating. So now it's about at the right temperature. I put about a cup of oil, just because the pan is wide too, and the oil will spread out, and I want to get the oil all over. But I don't really like using a lot of oil in my foods. So this right here, we have the pepper. So we're just gonna saute the pepper in the oil. The reason being is because I want that pepper to get into the oil so that it can get into the meat. So now we're gonna throw the meat in there. And everything that I'm doing here, I'm gonna do the exact same thing to the pork. Okay, so now we just have the meat in here. We're gonna chop it up with your spatula so it gets evenly distributed all over the pan. And we're just gonna cook this until it gets kind of brownish. So this is basically what the beef is gonna look like after it's done cooking. But I am also now just gonna put a teaspoon of tomato paste and let that cook into the beef. Again, remember, everything that I'm doing here, we're doing the same thing to the pork, okay? So now we're just gonna let that melt in the middle, and then now we're just gonna combine it with the beef. And we're just gonna let that cook for a few. All right, now we're gonna do our second part to the pastel. The first part was the meat, and it was the filling. We're gonna need corn flour. Now, not cornmeal, corn flour. It's two different things, so make sure it's corn flour. So now we're gonna need 3 cups of corn flour. I could measure this by eye. I suggest you guys use a measuring cup. So I'm just gonna do a measurement by eye. That's about 3 cups right there. And now we're gonna need 3 tablespoons of room temperature butter. Okay, so we're gonna put that in there. And we're gonna do a little bit of salt. That's probably about a tablespoon of salt right there. And I'm gonna do a half a tablespoon of sugar. Okay, so that's what that's what it's gonna look like right now. Right here we have 3 cups of water, which we're gonna add very shortly. All right, now we're gonna add the water. Again, 3 cups of water. I'm not gonna add all at the same time. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna add half, mix, see, that's why you don't wanna liquefy it too much. Ooh, that smells like corn. Now we're gonna add a little more. Mix. Now I wanted to add some paprika to this, but I was advised not to. So you can experiment. I like to experiment. Other people like to keep things the same. So, you know, it's up to you on how you want to do things. And we're gonna knead it. So this is how it's gonna look after you're done mixing the corn flour with the water and the salt and all of that. So this is how it's gonna look. It's gonna look just like this, right? So now what we're gonna do, we're gonna take a little piece out, a little some of it. You should use an ice cream scoop to like really kind of measure out how much you want. Like I said before, I could do this by eye, and to know how much that I want. Okay, so you're gonna roll it up into a little ball. Right, you're gonna take some water, and I don't know if I told you this before, you're gonna need a fig leaf. If you don't have a fig leaf, you can use foil paper. So we're just gonna take this over here. Just roll that up because it is gonna stick to the fig leaf. So we're gonna roll that up. I'm gonna put that right there. We're gonna take another fig leaf. I don't have a press, so this is how I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna take a rolling pin. Gently roll it out. See, I didn't do it gently, so that's what happened. So let's see how that came out. I think that came out pretty decent, right? So now we're gonna take a little bit of our pork. we're just gonna put it in the middle, right? And we're gonna fold it. I'm not gonna attempt to peel it up because I know it's gonna rip. So I'm just gonna go like this. Fold it to one side. Fold it to the other side. Okay. And then we're gonna fold it again. And we're gonna fold it one more time. And we have a folded pastel. So now we're gonna close that up. I don't wanna tie it with a piece of string, so I'm just gonna fold them up. And what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna wrap it in a piece of foil. As you can hear in the background, my assistant is getting the foil paper for me. Thank you, assistant. That's the foil paper. She's not telling me to go back. I'm not in frame, so now that's what a good assistant does, by the way. I am in frame. And now we are folding it and folding it again. And then we're going to close it, and boom, pastel. But this is not the end of this. We're gonna fold out all the rest of it that we have here, and we're gonna cook it off. But we're gonna fold it off, so we'll be right back. All right, guys, so now we're at the final steps of making our pastel. As you see, I heated my water to 325. Now we're just gonna steam the pastels. As you can see how they look, how they wrap. I wrapped them in foil. I'm gonna steam them for 10 to 15 minutes. I'm gonna start with 10 minutes, and then I'm gonna take out one and see how it comes out, and then we'll take it from there. Alright guys, I took them out. I have them there, just draining. So now we're gonna just open one and see how it came out. It still has a lot of water in it, but let's just see how they came out. Little cut right there, and that would be the pork one. It's firm, it's nice, and it's ready to go to eat. And that's how you make Trinidadian style pastel.